Okay, thank you everybody for being here. We're going to start with the presentations of the action plans of the partner territories in the RFC project. With us is the first presentation will be from Jiri Hoffman from Ústí region, the Czech Republic. He's going to present us the actions plan in the action plan of his region. Okay, the floor is yours.
So thank you for the possibility to be here on this nice place. Fortress of Terezín in Ústí region in Czech Republic. Just brief introduction. Built at the end of the 18th century in just 10 years. It's about 400 hectares of fortified place around the fortress, including the town. 3,000 inhabitants, but including three small villages nearby. The fortress itself has only 1,800 inhabitants. And the main stakeholders here are the municipality of Terezín, Terezín Memorial, which is the institution of the Ministry of Culture, dedicated to the history of the Second World War in the Terezín, and the institution called Terezín, the Town of Change, let's say. It's organization established by Ústí region and the Terezín municipality to present the older history of the fortress of the 18th and 19th century, the fortification itself, and so on. So speaking about the policy instrument, at the beginning, it should be integrated regional operational program, which is already over. So we have changed the policy instrument to the strategy of Terezín for next 10 years, let's say, and for one project led by the region of Ústí. So we have three actions of this action plan. The first one is, let's say, called New Green Management. It's about the nature. It's about the maintaining of the green spaces in Terezín Fortress. There are lots of different green places in Terezín. This action should include analyze of the different types of space in Fortress. Speaking about the green places, the discussion with stakeholders, and to invent the concept, let's say, master plan for maintaining and presenting the fortress and its nature. It shall start next month. We will see, and the end should be as the end of all the action plans in the April next year, and the cost should be about 10,000 euros, probably. Action plan number 2 is very close. It's not just about the green places, but it's manual of the public spaces at all. It means the streets, parks, squares, pedestrian, bicycle path, and so on, which are going around the fortification, which are going through the fortification, which are inside the town itself, as the main square you can see down. Because till now, Terezín has nothing like the general plan or master plan for these places, and each centimeter of every road is reconstructed different way, just unsystematic, and time to time it's quite funny. It's also consists from the analysis of the places of the space, discussions with the municipality and other stakeholders, and these discussions together should bring us to some concepts, some discussions, some master plan for these public spaces. Not direct the project, how to restore them, but the general idea how to restore them in the way of old time or in the modern way or whatever. Should be also finished till the end of the project, the April 2023. and the cost is about 8,000 euros. And the last one is more specific, is the redesign of tourist infrastructure, of the tourist information office. You can see on the picture, which was which was made as a reconstruction before 7 or 8 years. Because before on the space, what you can see on the picture, there were the military garage for heavy military technique. Since the army left in 2000, the place was empty and destroyed. So the first step of the reconstruction was to reconstruct the open space and the interior of the so-called retranchement number 5. And now we want to make it more modern, more nice for the visitors of the Terezin, because this should be the first place you will visit as the tourist for the whole fortress, for the main fortress of Terezin. It includes the outer space, the parking place, and the inner place, inner side of the information office, itself, and of course all the stuff like design and the papers, flyers, and so on, so on. So these are 3 actions we would like to do as a part of the action plan of Region Ústí, which are actually the step number 2 of the basic strategy of Terezin, which I have spoken at the beginning, because in this strategy was said, okay, if you want to improve your town, improve or revitalize the fortress, you have to follow the steps number 2, which are actually these 3 action plans. Thank you. That's all. Let's say all 3 stakeholders can implement them. Mostly it will be implemented by this organization, Terezin, the Town of Changes, which is half town, the municipality, and half Region Ústí, which is orientated on the older history of the fortress. Because municipality has, let's say, it's slow like, or complicated like many municipalities, because of the process of decision and so on. And Terezin Memorial, which is dedicated to the Second World War, is mostly on the other side of the town, on the small fortress, which is across the river on the other side. That's specific state in state, let's say. So I think the biggest leader in these actions will be this organization, Terezin Město Změny, Terezin Town of Change.
If you have questions, they are streaming the video through the YouTube channel. So without mic, we are not going to be able to record the sound. So if you have a question, you can point out. Thank you, Yuri. Now, where's your presentation here? Oh. Okay, so let me introduce Wim de Wijne from Antwerp, from Belgium. He's going to present the regional landscape Antwerpen action plan for RFC. So yours the floor.
Thank you, Jose, and also Spanish hosting partners for having us here in a beautiful region. I want to present you our action plan, but first I want to also explain a little bit our results and the context getting to the actions, but I don't maybe go in all details. It takes some time. I prepared 30 slides. Sorry about that. But in between, I'll show you some video, maybe to give it some air. but I'll go through it. It's called also a 6 stars project from the beginning. I'll go further. Here you can see our 6 stars or 6 sites in the project and how the concept in the region is developed to look back to the past and then look forward to the future. I will mention the 6 stars sites: Herentals, Lier, Mechelen, Zandvliet, Lillo, and Dendermonde. Some of them fortress cities, some of them fortresses. And we connect them with, as you know, with the 6 topics of the RFC project, the topics of the workshops, the thematic workshops. This is our policy context, as you know, of the province of Antwerp, but actually currently not active anymore. There are some comments you can say on this policy plan. It's maybe too much top-down, not too detailed. There are some future ambitions, but I'll explain tomorrow when we are talking about policies. The ambition for the RFC project is to have a more clear strategy for these fortress cities and fortresses, clear actions, and to put energy, ambition to give a boost, so to say, to this policy. Let's see here. Yeah, when we started, actually there was no real cooperation on regional level. Local level, yes. In Antwerp, you can see good awareness on the historic value and heritage in general. Mechelen, opposite, almost no awareness. Only 1 gate remained of 12. And then Herentals, Lier, Dendermonde, more or less the same basic good awareness. What did we achieve was a good cooperation between these municipalities. In total, the 6 sites, as you know. And we made starting notes, project definitions, partnership agreements, a really solid base for this cooperation. Of course, for reaching this goal, really many meetings. I think maybe 100 presentations, to give a number, I gave among these municipalities and stakeholder meetings. Yeah, it's more or less the... Also, I think great achievement in giving knowledge to the project. As we have a lot of experts in our region. To give some names, Ewald, Tim, Piet, and Daniel, the Professor Piet Lombarde, Daniel Plettings on our workshops with European partners. So we come back, the 6 sites, and on top of that, we also have these Fortengordels, the platform, as you know, which also has a good practice approved in the Interreg database, and it's an extra. It became an extra on top of the 6 sites, so we've been really busy. Let's see. Yeah, I just want to show you the results, what we have done. Also good info days in Fortress of Lier, Dendermonde, as you can see, Herentals, and we are also planning this summer in Lier to invite people and show them the fortresses, and also in Zandvliet. I think some of you have been there during 2019 kickoff meeting. And then I want to show you, some other activities. Let's see, some expertise we offer during the RFC project in some plans. You can read it. Also, I think special mention for Fortress of Lier. We're working as an activity inside the RFC project to go to master plan of the fortress for the redestination. Also in Herentals, more or less an urban tool or spatial tool for the city to check everything with the fortress remnants and include them in future plans. Let's see, Herentals, also the Blue Deal action. This is a special one because it's one of the policy changes we noticed. We had, you can see 250,000 new funding for reconnecting water structure, historical water structure. It's one of the actions we want to do in the action plan that go on. This is, I think, the biggest achievement. These good practice approvals of Fortegordels, resulting in the peer review we had. The 2-day peer review. Josephine was there as an expert, Jiri also, and then other 3 experts from Europe, checking on Fortegordels how to revive, how to become a good platform again, as it's not active anymore because province of Antwerp stopped. But then we have really good recommendations. And then the third one, this is one we're really happy to do the pilot action of Fort Lillo. Frederik Brunel of the city of Antwerp is also here. He's the coordinator of this project of the renewal of the fortress, and we're making a virtual project. I will explain because it's also an action. So to have a conclusion, some kind of conclusion of after showing you all the work and the results, it's a great importance for many stakeholders involved. The RFC project, it gives a good boost and kind of looking to the projects, the local projects in another way, maybe to have good expertise and good high quality opportunity to talk about these fortifications and new future ambitions. Second one, there are many new project ideas developed. And one of the most important, and we are happy to do this, is the pilot action of Fort Lillo. That's the third conclusion. And then we achieved also the policy change and the peer review, of course. Then we were asked to make the action plan, how to make this into an action plan. And the first version is this one. You can see we have many actions. First, maybe more than 10, but we did it like this. We made 9 of them, and then we get the comment maybe to limit the actions. We have to revise it fully, and now we are there, and that's what I want to present you as a long introduction. I'm sorry about that. The first action is also, I explained it a little bit already, the Lillo, the Virtua Fort project on virtual reality. Then on Fortegordels is another action, second action, the cooperation between the fortresses and fortress cities. And the third one is the Blue Deal in Herentals. Now I go a little bit in detail so you can see what's about. The first action, the Lillo, some of you have been there. You can go there by water bus from the city of Antwerp. 1 hour later, you arrive in the middle of the port of Antwerp, this unique fortress. The idea of making a virtual project on Lillo, it was kind of clear from the beginning because the water bus is going there. It's kind of innovation place. And we developed this virtual reality project. Also because of COVID, because you couldn't access the fort at that time or going in large numbers to the fort. It was an idea to have a digital way for accessibility of this heritage. And therefore, it's a good pilot, I think, also for the whole RFC project, how to make virtual projects and make heritage accessible that way. And also as a way of virtual reconstruction, virtual restoration. You can see some policy instruments that are connected with it. I don't go in detail. Maybe it's interesting. I don't know if this will work. We will see. It take some time.
Maybe you have to copy and paste.
All right. One moment, please. In this one, Jose, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if the sounds.
Oh, it's breaking.
Then it's for another opportunity. No problem.
Maybe tomorrow we can
Yeah, okay. Let's do that.
hear the policy learning.
Yeah, perfect, because Frederik also can explain something about Lilo, and then we will show it. The second action is on the fortress belt. In our language, it's Forten Gordels. A lot of text, sorry about that. I have to look a little bit, but yeah, it's about reviving. We had this as a follow-up of the peer review we had. Sorry about that. I missed some explanation because the video didn't work. I will explain a little bit the first action more. Because what are we going to do in this action? Because we have the pilot action ongoing right now. We will do a little bit, we will work on that. We will have more storytelling on that. There will be storytelling on the typical, how it was in the 16th, 17th century, the life in the fortress, who lived there, who were the soldiers there, what are the stories to tell. So that would be the next step after the pilot action. I'll summarize a little bit, but the video will be shown tomorrow. Now I go back to, sorry about that, to the Fortengordels project. As I will explain a little bit the context, the 2009-2019, the province of Antwerp was really coordinating this. It is a platform, more than 30 fortresses, 26 municipalities, 2 provinces working together. But this stopped. But after that, some stakeholders wish to continue this cooperation because it has great value, touristic way, communication way. And therefore, we had this peer review in November. I say last November, yeah. And we had three actions, 3 sub-actions actually we want to do in this action. First of them is the task force, keep the stakeholders together as a minimum, and from there go further to do some clear mapping. Who is the key stakeholder? Who would make the difference? And which stakeholders are more political covered and have some good way of making a new Fortengordels period. And therefore, the third one is maybe the most important, to look for financing and funding for this platform. And that's what we are working on. You can check all of you the Interreg Europe webpage of our RFC project, the peer review, the recommendations we had, the final report we made. The city of Antwerp has made also a new Fortengordels map in the RFC context. Let's say, yeah, and the funding we are working on right now is on the cooperation between heritage cells on a cultural project. And you see the amount of 300,000 euros doing cultural events for 3 years on guided tours, on arts, on theater inside the fortresses. And I go further in the last action, and then I'm almost there. Herentals, it's the beginning of the RFC project. It has been the inspiration for for all of us. This is where the project idea of RFC has grown. You can see the Castle Le Page. And there the water structure is a former ditch of the fortress city, and the hill was a former bastion. And it's a future plan of this castle domain, and to connect the water again with the river that's next to it and the other parts of the fortress city. And therefore we have this funding, this extra funding from the Flemish government. We got inspired by a good practice of the Netherlands, single park, as I presented to you maybe 1 year ago, I don't remember. And also I think in Herentals is important, also the Magdeburg's Fortress Advisory Boards could be good implementation for Herentals as an example to follow up all projects. There are, I think, 20 projects, city development projects on the fortress city. Wow, yeah. Some pictures. You can see it's a small image, but there are eight parts of these fortress cities that will be future actions for Herentals. And the first one, number 1, it's a blue deal about it, connecting this kroonwerk. It's a crown, the 3 bastions in the north. Again, you can see below also how it was before. It was connected in the middle. Now it's separated, and want to recapture it again. And this is a summary. You can see some more information where the stakeholders. This is how it's how we did it in the action plan. It's written now in the newest version of the action plan. So if you have questions, I want to answer them, and I will give you the microphone. Thank you.
Somebody has questions? No? Yes? Yes, of course.
Thank you, Wim. No question, only one remark. So we would finish this action plans till the end of April. Is possible for you?
I will change the date. Promise. I promise. Thank you. It's recorded and everything. Okay. End of April is the ultimate deadline then.
Yeah. Yeah, the lines. Okay, Stefan.
So, thank you, Wim. I think you did what we were expecting from you. I have one question. Why did the city of Teruel stop to work with this network of organizers? Why did they stop?
Thank you, Stefan, also for the your nice comment and the question. Yeah, it's a city. It's not a city. It's the province of Antwerp that has stopped. The reason why it's a political decision. I mentioned, I think, to Zolt during the bus trip, and maybe other persons know it too. The provinces is an organizational structure that's under pressure in our country. You have Flemish level, provincial level, and then you have the municipalities. And in between that, actually, the Flemish government doesn't believe anymore in the provincial structure. And they already cut down, I think, half of activities of the provinces, and it's in a cut down context of cutting down political structure. Yeah, it's more or less now growing into a regional, more to a province will be more regional cooperation or intermunicipal cooperation. But I will explain maybe tomorrow during policy, in the policy context. Is that some answer you can be happy with? Thanks.
Some other questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Wim, for your presentation. Okay. Where is the third presentation? Is your Joanna, or will be presenting you? Okay. Okay. So thank you. Now is the Northwest region from Romania, Action Plan. Ioana Dragos is going to present us the actions that they are going to promote in the territory. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. We will be a team, actually. So I'm the project manager from Northwest Regional Development Agency, more exactly Northern Transylvania for everyone, also for the online viewers. I will be presenting together with our external expert our action plan. But before starting, maybe some and a quick, I promise it will be a quick introduction into the main requirements of our action plans, right? So, and these are stemming, of course, from the Interreg Europe requirements. First of all, of course, this is the dissemination conference of our results of the work that we have been done for 3 years. All of us had stakeholder meetings, research, documentary, regional analysis of the heritage, and strengthening the cooperation between our stakeholders. But on top of that, we have learned from each other. So between all these 6 regions, initially 7 in the project, we have learned from each other. And this is the main requirement when designing the measures in the action plan. The measures should indicate what exactly we have found to be very successful in our partner regions and have a strong possibility to be adopted and adapted in our region. So this is the starting point. Of course, also has to be to fit into the time. So in terms of implementing all the measures that you are seeing in all the presentations, they have to be done in 1 year and even less, because initially we had until July next year. And I think currently we have around May, because it's the reporting and so on. So that the period is a bit cut. Another constraint is that the measures should be implemented not by us, the project partners, because we were only facilitators in this game, in this Interreg Europe larger game, let's say. So the actions should be implemented by our stakeholders, by some of our stakeholders, and they should be committed to do these actions within 1 year, starting from August this year. And last but not least is that measures should be linked and answered to certain policy instruments. What exactly are these policy instruments? We will detail tomorrow. But in general, they are usually programs, operational programs in each country, which actually ensure the financing of certain projects. But of course, they might be also strategies, as you have seen in previous examples, and hopefully to be projects to be prepared, because in 1 year you cannot actually prepare and implement a project, especially if we talk about heritage projects and infrastructure projects. But it's everything about putting together the resources, the stakeholders, and ensure the preparation of future pipeline projects to be funded in the next programming period. So that was the introduction. And as for Romania, And we all are now in the second version of our action plans. We have proposed several months ago, as all the partners did, very ambitious action plans with many measures, with large coverage in the region. And due to program requirements, we have diminished, let's say, the number of the measures, but also the coverage. So in the initial version, we had activities to be prepared and measures which would address, let's say, several topics and several heritage objectives in Transylvania. The current version has a narrow version. We have 3 measures, one related to green heritage, another one with cultural roots, including digitalization, and a fortress advisory board, which for us it's something new in terms of management, integrated management of a fortress. These were some of the best practices that were of inspiration for us when preparing the first measure related to Green Fortress Belt. You have seen the example of the Lilo Fortress presented by Wim, which foresee a master plan and everything connected to the green restoration and preserving the green area while dealing with heritage investments. In the same in Germany, Green Fortress Belt will be also detailed in the presentation of our Magdeburg partner. Also, Terezin has an astonishing way of putting together the green sites within the fortress. And what was of inspiration for us as a result, we have in Cluj-Napoca, where some of you been for the study visit, a former fortress on top of the hill of the city with astonishing view. And the plan is the Cluj-Napoca municipality is currently preparing a project. Will be submitting for financing when the regional operational program will be ready. So when the first call will be launched. And now it is one of the pipeline projects which are actually helped in preparation. Actually, they received a financing of almost 400,000 euro under the technical assistance operational program. So by the time the call will be open, it will be a mature project with all the technical studies and architectural plans and with the approvals. The second measure is related to cultural roots. And we have seen many inspirational models in the project. Actually, 2 ones regarding the roots and many more regarding digital features, how heritage can be brought to life, and also multiply in terms of target group in order to be attractive also for younger generations. The first model is one of them is Forten Golders. You have heard the details in the presentation before of Wim. A true model of how different managers of close by fortress can cooperate together, can present an integrated plan for management, for marketing, for attracting financing, and for integrated tourism. And Forte Cultura is, I think it's a worldwide model. It was presented from Germany in the framework of our project. And it's the famous network of the cultural route 45 monuments. Based on this model of cooperation among fortresses and based off several examples of digital features that we have heard in Dresden Fortress in as application in Slovakia, in Czech Republic, but also the Aragon virtual trips, and a lovely feature from Belgium, embedded digital twin. And the action, it will be the preparation of cultural routes for both heritage restoration and digital promotion. But from here, I would like to pass the floor to Zsolt.
Greetings, everyone, again. So, as a context of this second action of ours is the quite large financing frame of the European Union in the Next Generation Initiative program, which in Romania is called the National Resilience and Restoration Program. It is almost a 49 billion euro national project, which was built and approved by the EU Commission last year. In September, Romania has signed the contract with it, and one of the components that was not very liked by the Commission, but the technical team of the Romanian government has told them that is very important in Romania, the restoration and promotion of heritage. So this is how the component 11, tourism and culture, frame was born. And you have to imagine this component that is made on 12 thematic routes in Romania. For example, the route of castles, the route of fortifications, Roman castrums, fortified churches, regional gastronomical regions, and so on. But the thing is that every objective which is enlisted, which is already in the list, can get money for restoration and money for promotion separately. And the main objective of this program is at the end of the period by 2026 is to build a national mobile application in which all 12 cultural routes and other objectives that are important in all the regions to be uploaded in this cultural and touristical cloud of Romania. So one of the objectives in our region of development is the introduction in these cultural routes of the fortress of Bologa for promotion and inclusion in the national application, and the restoration and rehabilitation and digital promotion of the Roman castrum of Bologa. This little village is very lucky. Wim and Caroline have seen it last year. It's a very lucky little village because there is a beautiful Roman camp excavated by my colleague Felix Marcu, and on the other side of the valley in the village there is the castle, the medieval castle, which was restored through the National Rural Development Program, and it was finished last year in January. So as the timeline and the milestones of the national project in this period, all the technical documentations and feasibility studies and permits are made, and planning also in a way that the main milestone is March 2023, when all the contracts will be signed and the works are beginning actually. As our third action, the Fortress Advisory Board, and with the addition of reliving the life in the castle, our inspiration were our colleagues from Germany and Spain, and it is very interesting because unfortunately in Romania at this moment there are very few and very concrete policies for revitalizing and reusing restored built heritage. So in this aspect, we want to build the Bologa Heritage Advisory Board, which well, it is not a secret that we want to expand it in first stage from a local advisory board that is regarding the castle and the Roman castrum. We want to expand it on the county administration level, and if all is working according to our plans, will be taken to a regional and maybe national level. The main objective is that we definitely need the lobby power towards the local and regional administrations to set up by this advisory board to set up at least mid or long-term strategies for EU funding on built heritage castles and fortified cities, and just to help actually administration to think a little bit clearer and improve their policies. So in general, I think this is it. Thank you very much.
These are actually pictures from one of our local stakeholder group meetings when we brought the stakeholders out of the office and had the meeting inside in Bologa Fortress. And we have with us two of the stakeholders. It's the director of the Transylvania National History Museum, Mr. Felix Marcu, and the director of Sylvania County Intercommunity Development Association of local administrations from Sălaș County, Mr. Daniel Stejerean with us. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, thank you. So we will continue with our next presenter. Prešov region. This is your presentation? Okay. Oh. Wait a minute. Just because. This is better. Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry for not including corporate identity. See you now. Perfect. Once again, thank you for the space to show you a bit of, let's say, walkthrough of how we made action plan. I will focus directly on action plan, how we made it. I was included in the project in later stage to be part of creating action plan, and we started with depth interviews, with meetings, with stakeholders from 7 different cities. I hope that our study visit, virtual one, which was in early March, it's still fresh in your mind, so I don't have to get back in so many cases. Cities that we include in the project were 7 cities plus 1 observing city. in the region of what we call Prešov region, but basically it is the north half of the eastern Slovakia. On the north you have Poland, and on the east you have Ukraine. And the context is really hilly topography. So many castles and fortresses and fortress system. Those seven cities were included in the project because they have fortification systems or fortresses in their premises in really various levels of how they look like today. Bardejov and Levoča, they are the UNESCO heritage cities, but cities like Podolínec or Stropkov are tiny cities, less than 10,000 population, and they got sometimes fragments of the fortification or fortification which is buried underground. So there are really various stages of how the fortification look like. And because of that, you can also understand that city administrative, which is usually the main stakeholder who take care about these heritages, get different administrative, let's say, capacities. There are several municipalities that they employ historians and professionals, and some of them doesn't have, let's say, clue about further development, if I can be brief. So we started with in-depth interviews. We started with stakeholders meetings to put on table like individual needs and tasks and plans and strategies, because before this project there wasn't any kind of regional strategy how to behave towards these topics. So as I mentioned, there was really various needs from stakeholders because they get various heritage in hands, from local events like castle days and medieval days to castle walks. They dreamed or they planning to build small scale stuff, mid scale, but also especially Bardejov and Levoča, the cities with UNESCO heritage. They are thinking in really like big level, big size projects. So it was first, let's say, third of the creating action plan. It was like to set up the boundaries between the cities because they were really in a different levels and phase of development of their fortification systems. So we put together their ideas under the software. You can see the conferences, creating books, info packages, creating apps and whatsoever, and also hardware, like to really building and protecting what they have, and somehow, especially in UNESCO cities like Levoča and Bardejov, to spreading bit further from the buildings into the public space, how to work with trenches and so on and so on. And also in one particular case in Bardejov, they are so far away from the rest of the cities that they are thinking about energy effectivity and efficiency when they are creating or when they are renovating the new floors of bastions and so on. So you have cities where they have just like starting point of taking something off ground, and then you have something which got the content and which got this nowadays actual effort how to work with the building. So sometimes it's 300 years difference between how the buildings are used. And we found that there is no common network of these cities or of these municipalities. I will say stakeholders and municipalities, but usually it's the same because municipalities by far also in rest of Slovakia, they're taking care about these buildings because it's included in their properties and so on. So it will be usually like that. common activities that they're asking for, they were asking for some networking, they were asking for some capacity building, because they don't have capacity to write the projects, to network with some partners from abroad, to realize the project, to have reporting of the projects, because sometimes those municipalities are so small that they are not prepared to have like even special departments for it, not like really dedicated people for that. So this was the really need from the smaller cities and municipalities. They are looking for joint promo activities. They are looking for some umbrella that will take them into some network and will promote them as a common region. And also what they're asking for, because they don't have finance for it, is like promotion outside of region, promotion outside of the country, because they feel landlocked. So when we put all these needs and tasks together, it was almost 30 different activities which we can write down as a part of action plan. We can see some time frame, also financing and so on. But later on, we were looking for, especially for competencies and for financing and for preparation process, and especially with this hardware, as I named it, with documentation and research and so on. So we, after the first analyze phase, we have to narrow down under some key elements what is really feasible in some, let's say, 2 or 3 year time frame. What should be done in that case? So we narrowed down. I think it was 10 or 11 really reasonable activities, and they varied from creating app for mobile phones, creating some festival activities, also working on restoration, and so on and so on and so on. But what put them together on the same side, it was lack of financial instruments. We found that not even the state, not even the region doesn't have specific grant scheme which will focus or oriented especially for the fortresses, for the castles, or for the medieval buildings. There are, or used to be, because it was closed last year, there was special national grant scheme for UNESCO cities and places, and it was somehow dismantled, and again it will have like different structure, this financial tool. So this was the crucial point of looking for different tools of how to finance all these activities, even in hardware, software, or soft or hard. And we found that also existing financial tools got a lot of problems, because they're usually only for 1 year. They have really high percentage of co-financing, and for small municipalities, they cannot manage it if there is like 50 to 50 of co-financing. So we were also working with this, and our analysis, and also like narrowing down all the aspects, like who are prepared for what. We compiled action plan that we deliver to the whole project, and we include 3 activities. But I want to say our plan is to include this action plan from the RFC project into the action plan of the region, into the development plan of the region as a new chapter. So there will be probably, let's say, space to use more activities from our analyze phase of the work. So I still keep all those 25, 30 small activities to deliver them. Like there are so many ways how to work on them in regional development plan, which is it will be quite bigger than just action plan for the RFC project. So first topic or for action or first activity that we have is like adjusting of regional grant scheme. As I mentioned, there are some existing financial tools in Prešov region, but they are joined together with financial support for the culture, for the social cases, for the sport, and so on. And we are forcing the regional, let's say, administrator of the regional scheme to focus and to create own chapter for the not only fortification systems, but for the heritage building in general. And we agreed, I think in January, that they will lower down the co-financing, I think into the 20%. So 80% will be given from the region. So this is something we see as the most efficient, like to we heard all of the stakeholders that they are unable to be part of this scheme because of this really high level of co-financing. So this is the major change, or it will be in the scheme which will be released, I think, in December 2020, in end of this year, because the previous one was released in last month of last year. So this is activity which is really like financial tool. What I was trying to do in activities to prepare different form of activities. This one is about hardware. If you remember the study visit in Prešov, we spoke about the Bardejov UNESCO city, which has really strong, really visible fortification system with a lot of bastions. And one of the bastion was rented for long term to hand of NGO, which run really on national level, really well-known cultural center, which is called Bashta Bastion, and the NGO is called Different, and they're the stakeholder outside of this world of municipalities. So, but still, the owner is municipality, and there is like long-term agreement between municipality and NGO, but they showed the best effort from all of these cities that we put into the project, that they are able to not only provide the content, but they're also able to take care about the building, about the restoration process, and so on. So the activity number 2 in the action plan for the RFC is to help them to revitalize the next 2 floors, because Bastion have 7 floors right now. 4 of them are active. They're offering the content, and one of the top 3 floors, the 5th and 6th, there are plans to revitalize them, to completely bring electricity and heating and so on, and offer it for the not only culture but also community content. The third and final activity is something like software. We pick up the small municipality of Stropkov with totally invisible fortification system, because they are on opposite side as Bardejov was. They are just starting, but we saw, and also why we put this activity into the project, we saw the municipality takes this issue of revitalizing or to bring back identity of the castle back to the city really seriously. They employ the city historian. They are buying out the lands which is on the places where fortification and buildings and whatsoever stands, and we saw how well they are prepared also in project documentation and so on, and we saw they are struggling with let's say marketing or promotion. So we decided to pick up their activity to set up something like book and set of marketing, like merchandise stuff. So we would like to see how the city is evolving of creating the image of city with the castle but without the castle. From my side, that's all. I'm here to take your questions. I hope that it wasn't that the quick or just really short, because I think that study visit in Pressure was so close from today. So I don't want to repeat all the stuff that you heard like a couple weeks ago. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Marian. So now is my turn. Okay, so this is the action plan from Teruel. We want to be with this action plan concrete and realistic, because we have a short time to implement it. And we want to center in some actions that we have learned from you, and all the actions, the 3 actions that are included in the action plan, are connected. Yes, because we want to connect one to the other. The aims of the impact of this action plan is to develop actions in line of the RFC principles that we have been learning through the process of the meetings with the stakeholders, the meeting with you, the partners, and also in my brain, thinking about how to develop better the fortresses around the province. We have a very big province, and sometimes it's difficult. So one of the actions is to try to coordinate all these actions. The details, we want to contribute with the plan of and budget of 2023, and collaborate with 2 of our stakeholders that are going to implement the actions, as Joanna said. The stakeholders are going to implement the actions. We are going to give them some resources and some support, but the real project comes from the stakeholders. And these stakeholders are represented by the county Maestrazgo and the county community of Teruel. What we expect, the main aim is to valorize sites from the Spanish Civil War that are spotted through all the territory in the province. And also there are some projects related with the Spanish Civil War that was very important here in Teruel, because of a very big battle that was I think in 1937. And so there are a lot of vestiges that we want to put in a better condition, and to give them the value that they have. So this is the main key of all the 3 actions. The first action included in the action plan from Teruel is the valorization of Spanish Civil War sites in the county of Maestrazgo. We have been learning a lot from you, from the partners. I want to thank you for this action, this first action, but the Belgian partner. We learn from you in one of the thematic workshops two things related to this action one. And this is something that inspired us to make some interventions to valorize this kind of sites from the Spanish Civil War with a touristic aim. So what we are going to do, or what the county of Maestrazgo is going to do. As you saw in the Teruel study visit, the association's Dos Torres de Mercader presented us the actions that they have been doing, maybe the last 2 years, to valorize the trenches and places related with the Spanish Civil War in this small village that is connected with Castellote, that is the main village. This is like a neighborhood from Castellote. And they have 2 trenches that they want to put in value, to give some information to the visitors, just to, because there are a lot of people, we have see that there are a lot of people interested in Spanish Civil War without any other thinking that the interest that they have in this event, this important event in the history of Spain and also in the province of Teruel. So this is the first action that we are going to promote. The main task that we are going to support to the county of Maestrazgo are conditioning the site, because the association have made some conditioning, but without a heritage knowing of the site, creating an access so that the site can be visited properly, taking also into account all we have learned from Atrincherate, from the community county of Teruel, that they have been doing this kind of tasks, and also installation of informative panels and maps of the area, just for people, the visitors, to know what they are seeing. Also, the Heritage Department of the Regional Government of Aragon will support us with contents of informative panels and maps. So the stakeholders involved in this action are Provincial Government of Teruel, the County of Maestrazgo, the Municipality of Castellote, the territory is from this municipality, the civil associations Amigos de Dos Torres de Mercader, because they began the project without knowing even in a concrete way what they have been doing. And the government of Aragon that is included in all the actions, because the heritage is ruled by all the region. And the time frame, as I said, is short, so we want to be concrete. Is from May 2022 to May 2023, more or less. The second action is related with the project at Trincherate that you know from the study visit. Carmen Alonso, here with us, presented you all the actions, all the great job that they have been doing in the county of Teruel, that there are 46 municipalities included. So they are making some interventions in a lot of villages just to promote this Spanish Civil War sites. So they have done the work that we are now going to do in the first action. So we want to support them in going on a step further, using some augmented reality just to promote in a touristic way these Spanish Civil War sites that they have included in the Atrincherate project. So what have we learned in all the process from the beginning of the project RFC? So in the thematic seminar, we know that Amber was with Visual Dimension, a company that you invited, Pim. They presented us something very, very interesting about architecture and cultural heritage. They use VR and AR to promote touristically and to recreate something that now is disappeared. And also, during our study visit in Romania, they show us in the Museum of Salau an augmented reality, an interesting application with mobiles and with some glasses, just to see what was the past of this city, and it's those actions and those applications have inspired us to promote it in the province of Teruel. So we are going to do this. We are going to try to make a pilot of augmented reality with 2 places included in a Trincherate project. There are the Alto de la Torana, that is a high mountain near Teruel. There is a very interesting bunker where the troops, the military person, try to defend the entrance of the city, and also from a line of trenches near Corbalan, that is also close to Teruel. So we are going to try to put an app with a QR that you can scan. You can see what those places look like during the Spanish Civil War. And also, the Department of Heritage in the regional government will support us with the contents of the augmented reality recreations. The stakeholders involved are provincial government, the county community of Teruel, and the government of Aragon, and the time frame is the same as before. And the third action, as you can see, all are connected with a valorization of this kind of places or sites related to the Spanish Civil War. These are, this is a photo from your advisory board. It's very interesting. We want to promote this kind of idea here, not only in Teruel, because we have been talking with the regional government. The Heritage Department is interested in implement an advisory board just to have what they call a democratic memory board. So we want to include some actions or some policies to valorize the Spanish Civil War sites and vestiges. This is the learning process. This is a good practice presented by Magdeburg City in one of the meetings that we had. So this Fortress Advisory Board is the expert committee that we want to clone here in Teruel, to do something that we think that is very very important, because we have to coordinate all the actions, taking into account the expert knowledge, and also the stakeholders in the villages, in the counties, in the province, and also in the region. So this is something that is foreseen by the cultural heritage and democratic memory of the regional government of Aragon, but now we have to work together to make this board a sense, and also to begin working with all the actors and all the stakeholders through Aragon, and also in the province of Teruel. In this case, the stakeholders involved are the regional government of Aragon, but also multidisciplinary actors related with the democratic memory of the Spanish Civil War, because many of them have participated in the meetings that we have during the project, and the time frame is not assured, because this is something that the regional government have to boost. We are going to collaborate, but they have to boost it. So thank you. These are the actions. Some questions? Sorry. Yes?
Please excuse my ignorance, but what does the democratic memory imply? Okay.
That's a good question. A democratic memory is something that the regional government and also the national government wants to promote, just to restore the wounds that the Spanish Civil War live in people, in places, and so on. So the democratic memory is not only about heritage, about trenches and so on. It's also about people, about how the people, they can go without forgetting the Spanish War, but also living together. Okay. Something else? No? Okay. So the next presenter. The city of Magdeburg. Josephine, yours the floor.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Jose. I hope there's enough attention left to listen to one last presentation today. I would like to present to you the regional action plan for the city of Magdeburg. Just to give you an impression what the action plan actually looked like, we decided to put the example of our Revelin 2 association on top, because it was quite an initial project to get the whole fortress topic across the city to get started at all. Before we started into the structure we all had to follow for the action plan, we decided to give a little introduction about the fortress heritage itself, because it's quite a niche topic, and for someone from Interact Europe, it's maybe difficult to find their way into the topic. So we tried to introduce it and to also explain the situation, what it's like across our city. I think in all of our fortress cities, the fortifications had quite a formative influence on the development of the city, on the structure of the city, but it also made an influence. It had an influence on the identities until today, I think. So the special feature we have in Magdeburg is that we have a core fortress around the old city center. It's in most parts this typical polygonal fortress system. And then another special feature is that we have a belt of forts around our city, which is at their best times, it was 20 forts around the city, not only forts as we already know them, but also intermediate works between the forts, which were included in the 1890s. So the history of demolition and decay and the conversion actually extends over a period of 120 years in our city. So it's quite a long time to actually recapture this military heritage. And there are 48 architectural monuments actually across our city. There was a heritage preservation plan done for our city, which was about the fortifications of our city, but it was more about doing or having an inventory, having an assessment, what's actually there, what's the story behind it. But what it's not been about is where do we actually want to go? What are the possibilities of using this heritage? So what we want to achieve through this action plan is an integrated approach to this topic. We want to shape a common vision for the future and to find sensible uses for all those fragmented pieces across the city. Because it's quite a niche topic, but as we discovered through all our workshops, it's also a cross-sectional theme because it has all those different approaches and potential ranging from sustainability, we had green infrastructure, social values, even it's about innovation, but also about economic growth. So a little bit about our policy context. I will go obviously more into detail tomorrow about this. We actually changed our policy instrument according to our needs, which developed through the learning experience in the RFC project. The name of our new policy instrument is the Integrated Urban Development Concept, IUDC, in German, Integriertes Stadtentwicklungskonzept, ISEC. And there's a current IUDC actually, which describes the objectives for our state capital of Magdeburg as a basis for the actions for the administration and politics up to the year 2030 plus. So the objective here is to integrate those former fortifications, the fortification system through a master plan fortifications for the city of Magdeburg into this current urban development planning. So the policy improvement, which will actually take place in phase 2 of our RFC project, will be to update this IUDC, include the fortifications and the master plan in this vision. So we have 3 actions. You could also say maybe 2.5 actions. The first one and the main action is to create an overall vision. The master plan and the interregional background for this is the good practice which was introduced by the city of Antwerp, the Fortengordels project. So this was based on a cadre plan, Fortengordels. So you could also translate this into a master plan fortifications, create an overall vision, where do we actually want to go here? Because we have some very interesting and successful projects across the city. We have the Culture Fortress Mark, we have the Revelant 2 Association and so on, but there's an overall concept missing, and maybe this overall concept will also increase the awareness for the topic itself and the potential that's actually behind it for the city and the region. So The regional background to this is we have this fragmented fortress system. We have all those different parts of the fortress across the city. Most people don't even know about them still, even though they live in Magdeburg for more than 10 years or their whole life. So give this idea, give this heritage back to the people is what's behind it. So the action is to implement through this updating of the IUDC. This is going to be implemented in actually 2 steps. The first is to include the production of the master plan into the IUDC. And the second one is then go into more details in the city districts, analysis on city district level. And then we have the actual production of the master plan, which starts also in phase 2. And as the JS correctly reminded us, this master plan will definitely exceed the project phase 2, and the city seeks to obtain an agreement with the policy responsibles on the intermediate steps of realizing this action also after phase 2. So the costs here, we did a cost estimation. There will be the actual improvement of this policy instrument, which will be updating the IUDC, which will run up to 84,000 euros. And then we have to contract a publisher for the IUDC, and this will maybe sum up to 25,000 euros based on previous experience. And the costs for the production of the master plan, this is an extra thing. This will be, still needs to be determined. It's also depending on how many fortress sites we actually include in this master plan. So funding sources can maybe be city budget, but also as previously done with the IUDC, we can use the Urban Development Funding Program. And then there's a sub-action, which is our Green Fortress Belt. We've heard about it today, for example, from Romania. This is called a sub-action because it's supposed to be a crucial part of the master plan. While the master plan is about finding uses for all those fortress sites, the Green Fortress Belt is to provide for the green connections between the fortresses. So we have the core fortress in the city where we already had a project called the Green Belt. It included some parts of the inner core fortress, not all of them, and it wasn't, let's say, not a too successful project. And what we want to achieve here is to also include the outer fort belt into this overall concept. So make connections between the forts, but also between the inner circle and the outer fort belt. And also interesting, there are water courses between the two fortress parts, between the two circles, and we want to use these existing water courses to actually achieve the connections. The interregional background for this is a good practice, the single park Leiden with an image quality plan and citizen participation. So the feature we want to follow here is to create the interconnected green spaces between the former fortifications. As I mentioned previously, there's a regional background as well, because we have this outdated concept, the Green Fort Belt, and we want to extend this project. And this is to be seen as a sub-action, including this Green Fortress Belt into the master plan, and then achieve the green interconnectedness. This is the important word here, interconnectedness for this project. The costs and funding are also included in the main action 1. And then we have our action 2, which is also very much about our main goal, our main action, which is creating an overall vision. So the interregional background for this is Also going back to the good practice Fortengordels, Fort Belt project from Antwerp, and it had a master plan basis. And what we liked about this also is that it had an expert board included in the organizational structure. So it was aligned to a clear goal, and this is what we want to achieve with our future Fortress Forum, which is a further development of our Fortress Advisory Board, which some of you are following, I heard today. The Fortress Advisory Board, the period actually ended for this expert group, and we want to align it to our goals, and we want to give we want to change the name also into Future Fortress Forum, so to give an impression where we actually want to go, which is into the future. So what the clear task for this board is supposed to be is to give advice on the actual development of this common vision, of the actual development of the master plan. So it's a clearly assigned task. And the previous Fortress Advisory Board, its task was to advise the Councillor for Urban Development, Construction and Transport, but this was more about the assessment of the situation. It was mainly about the documentation and also about the publication of the topic. And what was missing was to work on a clear vision. So maybe for those of you who want to follow the Fortress Advisory Board, keep this in mind. It's important to have the clear goal assigned to the group, because maybe otherwise you can't achieve anything, because it's not a clear path you're going. So this is what we want to do with our Future Fortress Forum. The first meeting is planned in the second quarter of 2022. And the cost and funding of this there will be an expense allowance for the members, for the honorary members of this board. It will run up to 2,800 euros, and this will be coming from the city's own resources. So also very important, our action plan, we will, all of us will translate it into our languages, so the stakeholders can actually sign it, the stakeholders can approve of the actions, and it will also be signed by all the project responsibles, so our urban planning office manager and the councillor for environment and urban development. And then there will hopefully be a city council resolution in, I think, June this year. That's it for today.
Good morning and welcome back to this pretty city of Albarracín. We are going to start the second policy workshop with the partner of the city of Magdeburg. So Josephine, if you want to present your slides.
Thank you, Jose. Yes, I'm going to talk about our policy improvement for our beautiful city of Magdeburg today. There was an initial policy instrument, which was the operational program ERDF, Saxony-Anhalt 2014 to 2020. And what we wanted to focus here explicitly was to improve the presentation of our fortified cultural heritage. So this was kind of a very broad idea. So we put up this nice table. So to actually have an overview, put on the left side the themes that we had in the workshops. So it was about nature and environment management, economic aspects and funding mechanisms and so on. You've all been there. And then we assigned to the themes our actions, which we wanted to realize, or we came up with ideas about this. And there was the Green Fortress Belt, which we wanted to extend. And we wanted to do a master plan fortifications, Obviously, the tourism aspect is very important, and there's currently being developed a tourist guidance system, and we want to include the fortifications into this tourist guidance system because it just makes sense. There's a lot of potential for tourists also to see the city from a new perspective and not all the time visiting the same places. There's much more to see in Magdeburg. Yes, and we want to digitalize the cultural heritage as well. So these were our ideas, and we assigned to them also where they came from in the RFC learning process. So then we thought, let's do a pilot action. And this was quite a good idea, even though it was turned down, because it gave us an impression where we actually were in the process. We wanted to use this website to have or to create more awareness for the topic of fortifications in our city of Magdeburg, because it's not seen enough yet across the city, but also not from outside. So we handed in that pilot action of doing that website as a first step to create an overall awareness for the topic, to have it on one page, what's actually there. But it was turned down with the main argument that the idea did not match our policy instrument. So we came into thinking a bit more about this policy instrument, and we had another meeting with the JS in early November 2021, where we explained our intentions, our ideas, where we wanted to go, and this resulted in us learning that we had to change the policy instrument so it can fit our discoverings from this learning experience. So the new policy instrument is that we are using for this action plan is the Integrated Urban Development Concept, in short IUDC. And this is currently already existing. It's an integrated urban development concept that compiles strategic objectives for the state capital of Magdeburg as a basis for the actions of the administration and politics up to the year 2030. So the previous update was funded by the Urban Redevelopment Program, and this will hopefully be the same with this update as well. And there were also ERDF funds for this. The background came, as I already told you, through the learning experience of our RFC project. We had this pilot action, and I was happy to participate in the peer review for the city of Antwerp, and we learned how this integrated approach and having an overall goal, an overall vision is very important for this topic. So our objective is to integrate this former fortification system, which is fragmented today through a master plan fortifications in the city of Magdeburg, into the current urban development planning. And this is actually realized through updating the IUDC. So the preparation of the actual master plan, which is another step, will exceed the RFC phase 2. We also wrote this into the action plan. So the city of Magdeburg seeks to obtain an agreement with the policy responsibles on the intermediary step of the actions, the intermediary steps, by the end of phase 2. So it's clear what we actually have to do to realize the master plan project. So that's it about our policy improvement for the city of Magdeburg.
So thank you. If you have questions, we can discuss now, or maybe after this brief presentations, we can discuss all each other with also the knowledge about what has been happening in each territory in terms of policies. So now I'm going to present what we want to improve in terms of policies. The beginning of the project here in Teruel, the policies we wanted to address was the operational program of European Social Fund from Aragon, just to contribute to the integrated territorial investment for Teruel, and this is the objective 631, to foster the protection and promotion of the development of this kind of cultural heritage. But at the moment, we haven't achieved some improvements, or we have maintained several meetings with our stakeholders, included also the regional government of Aragon, but we have not been able to have an effective influence in these policies that we have described. We have been thinking about linking the policies to the action plan that we proposed yesterday, and our participation in the future advisory board. We think that this will be the best practice that we want to include and promote as a policy in the next operational program, and also with the regional government of Aragon. We have been talking about the importance of having enough effort in describing new master plans just related with this kind of heritage. So the aims of the impact of the policies in our territory is generating a regular and direct contact between all the stakeholders involved in the development of this kind of heritage in not only in the province of Teruel, but also in the region. So what we expect as results, we hope to have a good performance in the implementation in lines 1 and 2, and these lines of our action plan could be the first seed just to build a master plan to include all the remainings, all the places that could be included in the valorization of the Spanish Civil War sites. So we are not successful by the moment, but we think in the phase 2 we can keep on working in improve these kind of policies. And thank you. So now is the turn of Slovakia. Okay. Would you open the presentation?
I'll try. Thank you. So good morning, everybody. Prešov self-governing region, just a short introduction again, is one of the 8 self-governing regions in Slovakia and is the administrative center of the Northeast region with 800,000 inhabitants. There are more fortified cities in its territory representing the beneficiaries of the project's outputs. In the beginning of the project, in the application form, as policy instrument addressed by Prešov region, was chosen the strategy for the development of the culture of the Slovak Republic for period 2014-2020. But after some meetings and interviews with representatives of the Ministry of the Culture, during the second and third semesters, we came to the conclusion that we are not able to influence the strategy of development of the culture on the national level. If you ask why, this is because of the period. It was 2014-2020, so it was late a bit. And then because we are just one region, maybe if we will be together with some more regions from Slovakia, maybe we could do something, but just one region not. As representatives of self-government, we saw a more realistic opportunity to influence the regional policy instrument, which we chose integrated territorial strategy, we call it EUS, of Prešov region for the period 2021 and 2030, which is now being developed and will be ready to implement in the second half of this year. The main goal of EUS is to create conditions for balanced territorial development of the region and increasing the quality of life of its inhabitants. And it is, I can say it's the same document as economic and social development plan of the region. The field of tourism in EUs will be addressed within priority, innovative and competitive regional economy through its objectives. And the specific objective is ensure the protection and the development of natural and cultural heritage. During the first phase of our RFC project, representatives of fortress cities in the region, together with experts, participated in the learning process and joint project activities, and the result is the regional action plan on the topic of restoration of fortress cities. And one of the activities of this action plan is the incorporation of the topic of restoration of fortifications into this strategic document, integrated territorial strategy, and emphasize this topic in the subsidy mechanism of Prešov region beginning the year 2022. The aim of the measure is to update the current financial support mechanisms of Prešov region towards the needs of the owners and administrators of buildings and fortifications in cities in the region for the purpose of more efficient maintenance and management of these historical monuments. So we hope we will be successful to improve this policy and to get this topic into financial scheme, regional financial scheme. So that's all from me. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you. Now it's the turn for Romania. So Marius.
Thank you, Jose. So today in my presentation, I will tell you a few words about the policy instruments in Romania who are financing heritage in the Northwest region. But first of all, I think it's really important to speak the same language when referring to to a policy instrument in the context of the Interreg Europe. So a policy instrument, it's a mean for public intervention. Could be a policy, could be a strategy, could be a law, should be developed by public authorities and should be applied to improve a specific territorial situation. Also, a policy improvement could have three types of results. Could bring new projects, could bring a change in governance, or could bring a change in the policy instrument itself. When we started the RFC project 3 years ago, we wanted to address to the regional operational program in the previous programming period. Through Axis 5, Investment Priority 5.1, which was funding the heritage, but unfortunately it wasn't any new open call, so we couldn't address to this policy instrument anymore. The management authority was the Ministry of Development, Public Works and Administration. I don't know if you know, but until the last programming period in Romania, we had one regional operational program for the whole country. But starting this programming period, we have 8 regional operational programs, one for each region. So we were just an implementation body as the Northwest Regional Development Agency. Even if we couldn't address to this policy instrument, we think that it was successful because it funded 26 heritage sites in Romania. The second policy instrument I want to tell you a few words about, financing heritage, is the regional operational program for the actual programming period, which is funding heritage through Axis 7, an attractive region, which funds cultural heritage protection, rehabilitation, and sustainable capitalization, both in urban and rural areas. So now, as the Regional Development Agency, we are a management authority for this program. As you could have seen yesterday in my colleagues' presentations, Ioana and Zsolt, the first action from the local action plan of RFC is Cluj Fortress Greenbelt Planning. Up on the Fortress Hill, some of you have visited, I think. It is also called Cetățuia in Cluj-Napoca. The stakeholder is Cluj-Napoca municipality, who got a finance from the Technical Assistance Operational Program 2014-2022 of almost 380,000 euros for technical documentation, feasibility study, architectural plans, and technical construction approvals. Later on, the municipality could apply on the regional operational program in the actual programming period on Axis 7 for conservation, protection, sustainable and competitive use of cultural and historical heritage, including improved access. Another policy instrument financing heritage, also in our region, is the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. Maybe you know the Next Generation EU, Pillar 4, Social and Economic Cohesion, Component 11, Tourism and Culture. Maybe you remember from yesterday's presentation, through this National Recovery and Resilience Plan, we will have 12 new cultural routes. Of those, one is will address to the fortresses and another one to the Roman forts. So you can see in this small table down the slide, we will have in Romania 5 fortresses rehabilitated. Of those, one will be from the Northwest region. This plan funds rehabilitation and also promotion. So of those fortresses, 18 will benefit of promotion in the whole Romania, and of those 4 in the Northwest. And in the second route, the Roman forts, we will have 3 rehabilitation forts in Romania. 1 of those will be in the Northwest region, and 13 will benefit of promotion, and only 2 of those are located in the Northwest. So what's the second action in our local action plan? We will have the cultural routes, and we will have rehabilitation and promotion for Bologa Roman Fort, and an integrated promotion for Bologa Fortress and Moldovenești Fortress. as stakeholders are the local public authorities of those places. So they will get funding for technical documentation, feasibility study, management plans, promotion materials, and procurement procedure. Another policy instrument which is financing heritage is POCIDIF, Smart Growth, Digitalization and Financial Instruments, Operational Program 2021-2027. Axis 8, Digitalization through Culture, which will improve the access to culture through digitalization of archives. It will create a national platform for historical monuments using digital tools. It will improve the heritage visibility by creating a tourist map and QR codes placed at the monuments for VR experiences. The management authorities, the Ministry of European Investments and Projects, and as a unique stakeholder, applicant, and also beneficiary, it will be the Ministry of Culture. So these were the plans and the programs which were funding heritage in our region. Of course, beside those, we have other policy instruments like the regional development plan, like the sectorial strategy in the field of tourism, and some others. But these are the policy instruments financing heritage. And in our action plan, we will address, as you have seen, the National Recovery and Resilience Plan and the Regional Operational Program for the actual programming period. And we will bring new projects, and also we will improve actually the programs itself, because we had, during the implementation of the RFC project, we had a lot of meetings with the stakeholders, and we knew already what didn't actually went that well in the previous programming periods. So we had the power and the ability to change some of the things, especially in the guides, which will come with the regional operational program in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mim? Okay.
Good morning from our side, from the regional landscapes, and I brought also today Caroline and Frederik to the floor. They will also explain some things about their local policies, and I will explain something about our regional policies in the larger Antwerp region. Of course, this slide you've seen, of course, many times. The 6 sites we have in our region. I will explain a little bit about our regional policy on the Fortengordels and the larger area. And as you know, currently not active or inactive. And then Frederik and Caroline. Frederik will tell something about the policy in the city of Antwerp, and especially on the fortress of Lillo as an example. And Caroline will tell about the policies in the city policy of Dendermonde and their future plans there on the fortress city. But first, let me explain a little bit, because yesterday there were some questions. What's about Fortengordels? It's inactive. The province of Antwerp is not working on it anymore. This explains a little bit the situation. We have the 5 provinces in the Flemish part, the north part of Belgium, and the man on the right Jan Jambon is our minister president of the Flemish government, Juan Jamon in Spanish. This guy, he not only he, but also his colleague policies and ministers decided to not follow these provinces anymore, 5 provinces, but go instead for 16 or 17 regions. So these provinces are cut down, are under pressure, and therefore, yeah, you can see our regional landscapes are almost similar organized as these regions proposed by the and now becoming active in the Flemish region. Just for your context, let me explain also something more about the fortress belts, how these future plans are grown. The first version was made already 20 years ago. I worked for the office that made it, but I came to the office in 2000, don't remember very well, 4 maybe, after they made this future plan. But it's a good global vision, you can say. You can see the first belt around Antwerp with the fortresses around, but they all have different functions, future functions. They don't have to be all the same. Not all have to be the National Museum of Fortifications. You can see some forts towards nature, other forts for educational use, for cultural use. You can maybe read it in the Dutch, museum fortress, etc. Some fortresses more towards the Scheldt River, more towards water recreational use. But after more than 10 years later, 2015, the province made a new, larger plan, as there's also a larger fortress area around this first belt. Also, the second belt was included in this kaderplan, the framework plan, as we can translate it in English. This is our policy we address to with the RFC project in our region. But as you can see, and you already know, no real details. The future ambitions are not so clear. But let me show you how you could see how the first belt had this complementary vision on each fortress as its unique function. This framework plan is built a little bit in another way. You can see some color codes going from red till green. Actually, I can't read it, but you can see many fortresses. Some of them are more red, some of them are more green towards more nature. There are a lot of bat species living in fortresses, for example. But let me point out also Lilo and Liefkeshoek. They're totally red, also as touristic gates appointed. So it gives some context also for Frederik, who will explain how the local policy is connecting with this one. But it's, as you can see, really just future perspective in a color code, not that high level or something. But what I want to do with the RFC project is to have a more clear strategy in the Fortegordels, as it's one of the actions in our action plan. Also, we see some opportunities to include also the fortified cities besides this, beside the fortresses. Just click some slides to have a larger image on the fortresses, to have some idea. The total area is about 800 square miles. The outer belt in the red is approximately 20 kilometers from the city center. The first belt in the orange color is approximately 5 kilometers. So all the fortresses are constructed in protecting the most important city of the world. We see as Antwerpenaren, we are in the center. I explained this one yesterday. You can read the reason why the framework plan didn't work out, what we want to do, as the peer review has been a really important leverage for us. It's all written down. Huh? In the recommendation of the peer review, we had a final report made after the peer review. And as you can see at the bottom, we have an extensive list of to-dos. We really know what to do, but therefore we do it step by step. We do the first 3 sub-actions in the action plan, as I explained yesterday, this task force, the mapping of the stakeholders, and go for extra funding. As I showed you also yesterday, on the cultural project we're working on right now with heritage cells. But I must also say we are looking for new opportunities, also maybe a new Interreg Europe. The more, the better. And I'm also almost there. I see also what we have made in this final report after the peer review is a process, as the first steps are included in phase 2 of the action plan. After that, we will also go further, and we look further on mid and long term. We go further on the funding, of course, but then on extra phase is the startup of a governance structure of this preparation of the new fortress belts, new Fortengordels. So therefore we need some staff doing it, a team. It's all written down in the final report. If you are interested, you can check, of course, through the peer review web page under RFC and click further on the final report. It's all written down. And then you also have on the longer term, the last phase in this, the whole preparation of the new structure, we have an operational phase. And it's almost, from summer 23 towards 24. And then we have a whole operational structure with volunteers working, with steering working groups. As you can read, the whole communication team, project up and running, hopefully. Now I give some time also, I think interesting for you, how Dendermonde is working on their policy. And Caroline.
Thanks. So Wim explained about the regional system in Belgium. I'm going to talk a bit about a really local action that we're having, or policy that we use, and it's actually for our city in Dendermonde in the multi-annual strategic plan for 2020-2025. There is an action adopted about a master plan for our fortress belt. Well, fortress remnants. I'm not going to read everything. That is the explanation that is written down into the strategic plan. Arrows. Yeah. Okay. So the horizon of the master plan is 2030. That is important for us because we are a part of the Wellington Barrière, which in 2030 exists for 200 years. Thinking about what to say first. Maybe it's interesting to know that for the preparation for the strategic plan, the administration did the preparation and we inscribed the master plan into it. But then the politicians simplified a bit and it became something more, how do you say it in English, generalized, which was not really useful for us. So in the first strategic plan in 2020, it was not inscribed, but then we did a revision, and then we inscribed that one. Now, sorry. So the timing for the master plan is we are actually, for this moment, working with 4 different bureaus who are making a plan. Next month we will choose one of them who will help us to write the master plan. For people who are interested, I already talked to Magdeburg about it. People who are interested can ask, because the procedure we are using is quite interesting. It's with the Flemish architect, which is kind of institution in Flanders that guides city councils into larger projects. So if you're interested, we might also have some info in English. The timing is May 2020, we select an agency. By the end of 2023, we should have, hopefully, a finished master plan, which is also politically approved, we are hoping. Budget-wise, in the years 2020-2025, we have a total of 550,000 euros. This is completely city budget. There's no subsidies, no European money, no Flemish money, no Belgian money. It's the city's money, for which we are calculating about 200,000, bit less for the master plan. And then we have this legislature, 350,000 euros for some smaller quick wins, small actions that we will hopefully learn about in the master plan. Now, some little more about the master plan, why we want it. We have seen in the past there were lots of small actions that were being done on parts of the remnants of the fortress, but there was no vision. There was no long-term vision for the whole structure of the city. So, though these projects are, well, they're valuable, they're good that they're being done, but there was no long-term plan. This legislature and the next one, we have some really big projects coming up. Here you see the project Epicenter, which actually, here is the river Skeld, this is the river Dender. This is actually the place where the city was founded. And you see this is all no longer water, but it used to be. It's a large, important area for the city where there is going to be remodeling in the future. And that is also an important part of the fortified city. So it's an important theme in this large project, which is going to be starting the next years. Second large one is the Kaserne. This is a large building, and this is the, yeah, you don't see it there that clear. It's a projection of what it could be. It's a really large building, which is now in the hands of the federal government, but probably by June, I think, the city will take it over from the federal government. But the restoration costs for the building are huge, and it's also, we have to decide what the hell are we going to do with it? So that's a big question for us. So it's a military building. So it is also connected with the fortress. And then the third one is the train station, which is also completely being renewed. And that is actually a gap between two parts of the fortress belt that are still very well preserved. And the train station and the area of the train station is in the middle. And there we want to ensure that the fortress belt is being will be visible again with the renewal of the area. So 3 large projects next years. So we said we need a master plan. So all large projects and the small ones can be united in one plan. So the goal is really to have a tool. The master plan needs to be a tool that everybody can use for the long-term vision. That all colleagues have a reflex. You say that in English? Yeah. The reflex to when they have projects, whether it's waterworks or mobility or buildings, roads, anything really. On the public domain, that they have the reflex to check the master plan. What is the vision long term in this region, and can we incorporate it in the actions that we are doing in our department for now? So it's really a plan that unites all items of the city administration, if it works. So that's our idea. And now I give the word to Frédéric.
Thank you. I would like to take you to the city of Antwerp and to show you the evolution of the awareness on heritage of policymakers in Antwerp, and to see the switch from no focus to hopefully a lot of focus. First, I want to show you the master plan Lilo. It's the picture on the right. The approval of the master plan, of the vision of what we are going to do with the fort and with a dike around it to protect the mainland from flooding. That was approved in 2010. The designing process only started in 2016, so 6 years. The master plan disappeared. Didn't know what to do with it. Okay, I would like to take you illustrating a few projects to show you a timeline of the awareness. First, I will take you back to the coalition agreement of the previous legislature, City of Antwerp 2014-2019. There was no mentioning of heritage in this document. Mainly the work was being done on an administrative level. The Department of Archaeology in the city was working on the foundation, doing the groundwork preparation, making projects, developing ideas on what to do. The policymakers didn't have to make decisions, they just let that happen. The Master Plan Lilo, the actual development of the project to transform the master plan into an actual building plan was listed in as a city development project, not as a heritage project. There was no list of heritage projects in the city. So the focus was on developing the city, on renewing the sewage system and the public domain. But the reconstruction of the bastions and of the fort as a whole was not part of it. So the budget that the city allocated to Lilo was 1.9 million euros, was what was okay for that scope. Where is the... Okay. But then in a city of Antwerp with a rich history, if you do not have a focus on heritage itself will get the focus. And there was a really big project. The Northern Line was a really big tram line connecting the city center to the north. There had to be a tunnel built underneath. And they came across this Kipdorp site. Maybe you've already seen it. It was a huge site, a really large excavation. It's the main city gate of the 16th century. Really important. It was the largest open air site in Antwerp. And there was a lot of public interest for this project. So in the timeline of the infrastructural works, building the tram line, building the tunnel, it was open one day for the public, and there was a huge interest. 11,000 people came to visit, starting early in the morning through the night. Really big interest, and that was picked up by policymakers, and interest was getting bigger, and you notice that policymakers like to talk about it and to have pictures taken there of them. So awareness was rising. the focus was getting onto those sites. This is then the integration of the site into that complex mobility project. Before, when the project started, there was no intention to make this site visible. It was meant to be partially destroyed, to be covered completely by the tram line. And the archaeological department of the city fought really hard to keep this open, to keep this visible, to show this to the public, to honor this heritage in the city. So yeah, they did a lot of big work with that. Also, for a first time, I guess, I'm cutting corners, I don't have time for a lot of nuances, so illustrating this project, one of the biggest in the city, the archaeology department and the public domain department, the designers in the city, first had to work together, and archaeology department had their demands, and the infrastructural how you say, designs also had their demands, and they had to be integrated into each other, which is a really interesting exercise. It also it was also the case for Lilo, where and that is thanks to the RFC projects, we made a VR tool, or we are developing a VR tool. We contacted a lot of experts, were involved, analyzing historical layers, really putting the focus on, okay, what is the slope of the bastion? How does it look? How do we make the bridge? Which details we want to preserve, reconstruct? Do we have to make it modern, contrast, all these things? There was really a close collaboration between the archaeology department and the design team, which was new for the archaeology department. So they were more like a permanent advisor in the infrastructural designs, and before it was absent. The next coalition agreement we are in now, 2019-2024, still not a lot of attention for heritage. I put a search. The word heritage was mentioned only six times indirectly in this 80-page document, with vocabulary like management and recognition, but not about enhancing or developing or transforming. It was really conservative, keeping it small, keeping it below the radar. But projects like the Northern Line and Lilo make the awareness bigger. And you can see it in the assigned budget for Lilo. It went up to 3.5 million. But still, you see, we asked 4 million. That was our estimate. So they just gave it a little bit less, just to show, like, okay, it's not maybe a priority for us. So yeah, I hope in the next coalition agreement, you notice policymakers are making a lot of interest, and I think more heritage projects will be in the next coalition agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Frederik and Caroline. Maybe I have the video I wanted to show you yesterday. It's connected with Lilo. It's the pitch for the action plan. As it's written in the action plan, it's a pitch of the tool developer himself, as he is now involved in our pilot projects. What is the best way? Hopefully it works right now. I put it public. Is the sound also working? But I've put on subtitles for you, as maybe your Dutch is not so good. Maybe better now, after a few years.
Hallo, ik ben Daniel Plittings van de firma Visual Dimension in Eename, Oudenaarde, en wij zijn gespecialiseerd in de reconstructie van historische sites. Momenteel werken we aan een interactieve virtuele reconstructie van het fort Lilo. Een heel goed bewaard militair fort dat momenteel in de haven van Antwerpen ligt. Deze reconstructie baseert zich natuurlijk op heel wat historisch onderzoek dat gedaan wordt door de Universiteit van Antwerpen, maar zal ook de toekomstige toestand van Lilo tonen, want de historische structuur wordt vanaf dit jaar hersteld. We maken dus een interactief systeem gebaseerd op gamestechnologie dat zal toelaten ter plaatse zowel het verleden te tonen als de toekomst. We willen hier heel kort tonen hoe dit systeem er binnenkort zal uitzien en hoe het zal evolueren naar een historische game die je ter plaatse in Lilo kan spelen. De 3D-reconstructies van Fort Lilo in de 17e eeuw zijn momenteel bezig. We gebruiken als visualisatie hier de stad Aardenburg, zeer gelijkaardig, met dezelfde objecten en in dezelfde periode. Net zoals in Aardenburg kwam je Lilo binnen via een poort, ophaalbrug en stadspoort. Lilo was, samen met Fort Liefkeshoek in de 17e eeuw, een enclave van de nieuwe Nederlandse Republiek, die de handel naar de haven van Antwerpen controleerde, onder meer door taksen te heffen op goederen die werden ingevoerd. Dit was natuurlijk gunstig voor de Nederlandse steden zoals Amsterdam. Fort Lilo heeft dus een speciale mix van bewoners. Er wonen gewone burgers, maar ook douanebeambten en soldaten in militaire barakken. Deze soldaten zijn verantwoordelijk voor de 11 kanonnen die het fort heeft. Ze moeten dus de kanonnen op de onderstellen monteren en op de wallen van het fort positioneren.
So thank you for your attention. Yeah, you.
Okay, and now lead partner, please, Daniel.
The last one. I'm sorry, I have no video. Maybe at the beginning, the little linguistic problem of Czech language. By the term fortifications or fortress, in Czech language is a specific term like Terezín, like bastion fortress, extremely huge. Nothing like castle, nothing like fortified old town, nothing like anything else, just only the fortress itself, mostly in the early modern period. So, and such fortresses in region of Ústí is only one. It's Terezín. Speaking about the stakeholders and the money were mentioned before, Terezín has advantages. It has three main stakeholders: the municipality of Terezín, with a total annual budget of 2 million euros. Is the owner of 90% of 400 hectares of the fortification, including the normal service provided by the municipality. Terezín Memorial is owner of some 10% of the fortification. Let's say it's just the so-called small fortress, which used to be the fort on the east. And this is the institution of Ministry of Culture, and it's dedicated only to present the history of the Second World War, with the budget of 4 million euros, so twice bigger than the budget of the town itself, but orientated just for the tourism and the monument itself. The third one is the institution Terezín, the Town of Change, Terezín, Město změny, founded by the municipality and the region of Ústí to present the older history of the fortress with a budget of some 500 euros. 500,000 euros per year. Sorry, a little bit more. Thanks to this, we are still able to communicate with just 3 partners, with the municipality, Terezin Memorial, and this institution, to find out the solution, let's say. I'm not telling final solution, but the solution for the Terezin fortress. Speaking about the policy instrument, at the beginning, the project started with integrated regional operational program as other partners, which was not possible, as we can see, because the program already ended before the end of the project itself. So we started to think to change the policy instrument to the new operational program. But anyway, on this state level, we are not able to influence anyway the project itself or the program itself, because speaking about the fortification or fortresses in the Czech way of meaning of this word, we have only 4 fortresses in the whole country. So the voice of the fortresses is very, very, very low, and actually nobody cares, including the National Institution for Monumental Preservation, because we have hundreds of thousands of castles, of churches and medieval towns, but only 4 fortresses. So there were no interest on the governmental level of supporting the fortresses by special operational program or by changing the conditions of this program. So if it was not possible to go from the top, we went from the bottom. Terezin has the strategy since 2020. The strategy of Terezin. It's not the correct word for this material to be the strategy, because of the situation of Terezin, 400 hectares of fortified place, 75% of the population left after the army moved out from the town. It's the whole complex is under the preservation. It's on the tentative list of UNESCO, and it's very specific architecture in the conditions of Czech Republic, because we are speaking only about 4 fortresses. So the strategy is more like description of the situation of Terezin, and the description of specific problems of Terezin fortress. And in this strategy is written that should be the next step should be made. It's make this strategy more precise, how to maintain the fortification, how to maintain the green places, the walls, moats, and inundations, and what to do with the public spaces and so on. This is written in this strategy to be the step number 2, which never happened till today. So the policy instrument is to move this second step by these 3 actions, as I said yesterday. If we will succeed to make these actions, these master plans of the green places, public places, and so on, we will fulfill the condition for the second project or second program, which is the support of the project preparation of Ústí region, where the basic condition is to have the master plan. Because Terezin has no master plan at all, never had since 18th century. So the first step is to get the master plan. With the master plan, we can get the support from the Ústí region for the project preparation. And if we succeed with this project preparation, that's the way to specific fund from European Union, just transition fund, because the whole Ústí region or most of it, is a part of the industrial land dedicated to the coal mining. And because of the change of industry, all the mines should be closed, and all the region has to be transformed some way in the modern way. So there should be, let's say, quite rich fund to make this transformation of the Usti region, and hopefully a small part maybe come to Terezin Fortress to help in sustainable development of the fortress itself. So these are the steps we want to follow thanks to this RFC project, and the changing of the or improving of the policy instrument step by step. Thank you.
Okay, so now that we have presented the context of regarding the policies in each country, we can do some kind of question round, or maybe a little discussion on what you think that the other could improve, or maybe something that in your territories could be improved, that you have learned or you have think about regarding the action plans that your partners are going to implement in their territories. Who's the first? Okay, Salt.
Should I stand up, or it's okay if we just sit? Okay. It's an open discussion. Just one thought in addition to what Marius was presenting. There was another very interesting funding access in Romania in this last period, which was linked to the rural development in Romania. According to the Romanian legislature in the country, we have two main monument classes. We have Class A, which is of national and universal importance, and Class B monuments, which are mostly set in the rural areas. So the big financing programs, the regional operational programs, finance the restoration mostly of Class A monuments, and mostly set in urban areas. So the Ministry of Agriculture, through this small project for rural development, what was this? It was me, okay. So the main idea of this funding was to give the amount of 500,000 euros for objectives to be restored that are Class B, and they are in rural context. You have seen the fort of Bologa. It is one of the best projects initiated by Felix here behind me. And you have seen that with this sum you can do a quite okay and civilized job on a small scale monument. Now, for the next financing period, the Ministry of Agriculture in Romania decided that we don't need anymore this funding, because votes are coming from sewage systems and paving roads and building toilets in the house, not outside them. So as one of the actions that I have seen that most of the partners have taken, and as we did it as well, the advisory board, the practice of our colleagues from Germany. I think that one of the roles of these boards would be exactly the lobby force in these kind of situations, because yes, we are also writing letters to the Minister of Agriculture that, look, these were the results. It was a very, very successful program. You should put it back. But I think that these advisory boards could play a very heavy lobby role in this kind of situations. I don't know if I was clear enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Salt, for your remarks. I have written in the chat, just for the people that are seeing us, if they want to make a question or some remarks. I have been talking with Clara Villalba, that is a member of the regional government, and she want you to give you greetings from her. So, and maybe she's online also. Everybody has something to add to the discussion. You? Okay.
Just to the colleagues from Terezin or from Ussi, I think it's unbelievable that you do not get the attention of the national level, because it would be a good argument to say we have 500 or 700 castles in Czech Republic, but only 4 fortresses. And when visitors come and they have visited the first 4 or 5 castles, then maybe they are very lucky to see a nice fortress. So I just can't believe it. It's in German we would say Alleinstellungsmerkmal. It's something very special for Czech Republic, and there are only 4 of them, so they should be more important. And I just can't understand that you are not heard by them.
The linguistic problem is number one is everybody know the word fortress, but nobody knows what it means. What's the difference between the castle and so on? The first one. And the second one, the problem is historical made, because the fortresses were constructed by the Habsburgs. And after 1918, the Habsburgs are the bad guys. It's probably the same in Romania. Speaking about Arad Fortress and so on. So you don't want to visit the monuments of the bad guys. And the problem is even worse. That it's not the story of the Terezin Fortress, like national monument on the national level. Okay, we are on tentative list of UNESCO, but there is a barrack building, Dresdner barrack, or big infantry barrack. It was constructed with 1,500 soldiers, and that's the barrack. When in the Second World War, during the time of the ghetto, the football was played on this Nazi propaganda movie. So this is probably, after Prague, the second world best known place in Czech Republic, thanks of the story of the Jewish ghetto and the people close there and playing football and so on and so on. And still, this building is in the worst condition and falling apart each year. And the last government, last month, they say, okay, you don't need them. Okay, don't need them.
Okay, something else that you want to add, to remark to the discussion? Oh, yeah.
I see some similar ambitions between us in the master planning, to say something. And this master planning, how to put this onto the attention to the policymakers. And I think the example of Frederik is a good one. From the Kipdorp site, open up the site, the archaeological site, invite, how many were there? 11,000. We did also the 11,000, and then you get the political attention, because they're the people they need for their next election. But I see similar things in the Fortress of Lier, for example. Last summer, we also opened up during Heritage Days, and in one weekend, 1,000 visitors came. Fortress is normally closed. You cannot access without guide, and 1,000 visitors, inhabitants from the neighborhood. They were so interested, young families, what is the fortress about? How does it look like? And then now we went to the city, the mayor and the wethouders, the city council, yeah, and we were happy to tell them the results of the people could share their ideas for the future of the fortress. So I think there's a key in between making a master plan or giving or hopefully putting budgets from the political side for this makings of this master plan. Do something in between them. Use the people for the support of that people are supporting the heritage, and then I think it's a good key on policy instrument level to get something achieved. Maybe just my thoughts on this matter, and maybe somebody can. Josephine, you want to add something?
Just for Teruel also, in Dendermonde, I talked about the large building, the military building. It has been it's still in a very, very bad shape. It was neglected for decades, and it started to gain interest because there was a group of civilians who started an action to save the site or to say to the politicians, hey, this is important. And it was called Save a Brick. And you could like symbolically buy a brick of the building. Yeah. And actually that really helped to like mobilize the politicians to do something. We're still not there, but it's looking more prosperous for the moment. So yeah, I just wanted to add that, and it's a bit of addition to what Wim said.
Okay, and by my side, I want to remark first we need to have a master plan to include all the remainings of the Spanish Civil War. But we have some similar problem, as you told us, because those monuments, those sites are a memory of what was so difficult to overcome from the civil society. So we have neglected and abandoned all of this time, and now we only have the remainings of what was used in a difficult moment of Spain. But I think that we have to intervene in these sites and to valorize it as heritage, as the heritage that they are. So this is my point of view, and we have to learn a lot from your master plans because we have no plans. So this is something that we have to copy from you, because it's the way to develop in a smart way the heritage in the territory. This is my point of view. What do you want? Somebody else wants to make a question or remark? No? Yeah?
Maybe I want to give some more comment on the what you just said about the cultural heritage that does not essentially have a good connotation or a nice memory behind it. But I want to say that it's very important to keep these memories alive. I mean, if we see the situation with the Russians right now, there's a big discussion going on, especially in Eastern Germany. What should we do with the monuments from the Russians? And my opinion is it doesn't. Maybe there's an approach to just tear them down, but this would just keep the attention from it. It would maybe prevent people from learning from this horrible experience. I think it's important to keep it alive, but I see it's a problem. How do you promote these monuments? Because it's not, well, let's do a nice happy trip to see some horrible stories from the past. Who wants to do that? So there need to be very strong promotional strategies how to actually maybe combine it with other cultural roots that have a positive connotation. Maybe that's the way to do it. And also about the master plan, so many people want to do a master plan, which is a quite nice thing to have in common. And maybe we can, I've spoken about this with Caroline, maybe we can keep on cooperating about actually how to do this, what's the way to do it, what should it be, should it look like. I saw some very nice graphical depictions from you, and we definitely want to adapt that. So there should be more cooperation about how to actually do the master plan. Would be a nice way to keep on cooperating.
I think one of the main lines that that we should follow in making authorities accept these monuments, if they have a negative or a positive connotation, is the fact that all of us, we have to expect, despite that is negative, that they are in our essential local identities. They are in our fabrics. And if you tell the mayor, I don't know, oye loco, this is part of your identity, you should invest in it, and maybe invite us to Terezin, and we can all make a press conference and explain that, hey, this is very, very important, not on national but on a regional scale as well. Maybe they will wake up a little bit.
Okay. So we have an online question. Clara is asking you, the Belgium team, how are local communities going to be part of the process during the development of master plans? Is there a specific people-centered approach for this? Thank you. Thank you, Clara, for your question.
I'll give the mic to Caroline immediately, but I see the link also. We have learned from the good practice in Leiden, as you maybe some of you remember. The city of Leiden has also made image quality plan / master plan. But besides that, also there are good participation techniques. We still have to go there to Leiden, but we invited them to our last stakeholder meeting. Josephine followed also, and I see also Dendermonde has picked this up as this is an important part of the master plan.
Yeah, hi Clara. There are different parts to the participation for the master plan. First of all, in this beginning stage of the master plan, we are developing more of a touristic product to really enlarge the feeling and the knowledge about the fortifications for our own citizens, but also for tourists. So that's the first part, because a lot of our own citizens don't really know about the fortifications, even if large parts are very well preserved. It's still not really in the identity. So that's the first part. We want to promote the city as a fortified city, first part. A second part is that in the steering group of the master plan, there are already some local experts of the historical organization, NGO, included really in the steering group. So we have a participation of civilians, interested and very smart civilians, but still it's the first time that in our city that happens, that we really include volunteers in a steering group. So there are two of them which are really included. They are members of the, it is called the Forum Cultuur, which is like a kind of advisory board of volunteers to the city, and they have a small branch of the Forum which centers on cultural heritage, built cultural heritage. The werkgroep, we call it the werkgroep. 2 of them have been attached to the steering group. So they're really integrated in the group. And thirdly, when the master plan is being written, there will be several moments of participation. How that trajectory will be how it will be designed, we don't know yet. So in the 4 remaining companies that are in the process for making the master plan, they have to do a proposal. So when we choose one, we will know which type of participation will be included. But it is I can send you, if Clara is interested. It is a part of the question that we ask to the companies. How are you going to design the participation? So we really asked it, what is your vision? How are you going to do that? And it's really an integral part of the master plan. Yeah.
If it's okay, just also the case of Dendermonde is interesting, interesting to follow, I think. But also the case in Lier, the Fortress of Lier, as part of the RFC project. As I've told the visitor, they opened up the fortress. The visitors could share their ID. We had 600 IDs. A lot of them, and then we categorized them. Actually, a civil servant of Lier did it, and put it in teams. And now we invite them next week to come together, to sit at a table, different tables, each another team. And now they have to put their IDs into the fortress to give it a place. Is it in time? Is it in the summer? Is it in the winter? Is it in daytime? In the night? So then we have some more support and ideas coming from the people themselves, so you don't have to do all of the master plan work on your own. It's not said that all people can have their own master plan, but you have to make somewhere some consensus. And I think that's about, that's how you have to make a master plan anno 2022 and not in the back office anymore. So I just want to add to that.
Okay. You want? Okay.
So I'm just trying to stress on the importance of the master plans. I'm an archaeologist, so I'm not really a specialist, although in the last couple of years I had a lot of contacts with, because we are also lead partners in an Interreg. Push it on. Yeah. So I'm not used, I wasn't used with this kind of meetings, most with the meetings between the archaeologists, which is a very special thing. But I understood lately more and more the importance of the action plans and master plans and strategies and so on and so forth. I've never believed in this because of my job. I mean, I'm dealing with what's invisible. And dealing also with lots of sites in Romania, managing the program of the Limes, Frontiers of the Roman Empires, with a lot of sites in Romania. Hopefully we'll finish the documentation this year, at the end of this year, and we have to deal also with the local action plans on a lot of sites and so on. Some of them very big sites, even if they are underneath. But some of them, as it is Alba Iulia, for instance, with the medieval fortress as well, and the legendary fortress enclosed in this fortress. I think without a master plan zooming out then and to deal with all of the problems which they are in the area and not only, is, I mean, without one is impossible to deal with the monument. Afterwards, I mean, after it will be inscribed on UNESCO list. I mean, our main aim is to inscribe the site on the UNESCO list, which is just the first step, because afterwards you need to monitor the site. You have to, of course, have a strategy in mind, and you need urban planners, specialists like you, of course, and that's why it was yeah, a very great benefit for me as well, hearing your presentations, and I have to congratulate our host here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to you. Do you have more questions or remarks? No? We have been discussing a lot of things. I think it's time to wrap up the session. It was very interesting to talk with you and to see what you are doing in your territories. So now we have to say goodbye to our streamers. Bye-bye. And to wrap up the session. Thank you very much, everybody.
We as a lead partner from Ústí, we want to say thanks, big thanks to Jose. He is not here, so Jose is in the corner, so that's pity. Where is Jose, Mr. Jose? Please come back. So, big thanks, Jose, for preparing for this meeting and with whole details and with a very famous place. And we want to say big thanks for you, our colleagues, our partners, and from my side, I can say it is very fruitful cooperation with you, and I hope the second phase will be finished right and good and with right end. So thank you for cooperation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you to you. We were closing the streaming. Okay.